Hello everyone and welcome to your Daily 5 for August 9th, 2023. I'm Leslie Jufles and Trading Live Online is my website, and I do these segments a couple of times a month for stock charts. The last segment that I did was on July 31st, I believe, and I covered the indexes, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial, updating those as well as a few stock symbols. So today I thought what would be interesting to cover that I was looking at a few days ago is the small cap stocks, the Russell 2000, and we're going to look at some seasonality and some bullish months that are coming up a little bit later this year. We're going to look at a couple of ETF symbols related to the Russell 2000 and the small caps, and we'll look at a couple of individual symbols as well. But the small cap stocks can tell us things about the economy, and it's often thought of as the bellwether for the U.S. economy because many of the stocks are based in the United States, and since they are small cap, then their hiring and their manufacturing processes can give us information on the health of our economy. So it's a good idea to check in with the Russell 2000 and some small cap stocks from time to time. So with that, let's get to some charts. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the seasonality chart of the Russell 2000 ETF, symbol IWM. And you can find this on stock charts, and if you scroll down to the bottom of a chart, you'll see some different choices, and you can click on seasonality. So I've gone out to look at 20 years, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to scroll back in time a little bit and look at the last several years. But here we are. We just came out of July, and we're in August now. So you can see over a 20-year period, it's about 50% of the months in which the IWM closed higher than it opened, and this is from 2004 to 2023. September, a little bit better, but notice how we get towards October. We have 68%, November 79% closing higher, and December closing higher at 68%. If we look at that in a 10-year period, we can see that September is not usually a great month, and August, again, about 50%. And we can see as we get into later in the year, the October, the November, and the December period, in a 10-year look-back period, you've got some pretty good numbers of strength that generally comes into the small cap stocks. And over a 5-year period, so we went from 20 years to 10 years to 5 years, over a shorter term period, you can see again, August is not a great month for it, and September is likely to be a down month, but again, October is a strong month, and November and going into December. So this means that you've got time to be looking for setups. And now we're going to go to the ETF charts and take a look at some key locations on those charts. So this is the chart of IWM, and I'm on the monthly chart because let's go kind of take a look at those months from August, September, October, November, December, and let's take a look and see how those look. So this is the August period, and this is just looking back at 2015. So we can see August was a down month. September was a little bit of a down month, but here's October up, November up, and December opened about the same place, closed a little bit down. But the seasonality again kicked in the beginning of the year. A lot of times small cap stocks are strong around the beginning of the year, and you can see the rally that it had in 2016. So again, we're looking at, let's go back to August. So August was a up month because remember, we don't have 100% on this. And then we had September neutral, a little bit down, not much. And then October, big move to the downside. November was up a little bit. December down. January, January and February had a nice rally. So you can go in the charts and kind of take a look at this as well. But for me, I use pattern recognition. So I want to be finding using technical analysis, particular chart points to be watching. So coming down to a weekly chart of IWM. So what I notice on this chart is there's a big ranging pattern. And for those of you that have followed along on a lot of my videos, I point out ranging patterns quite often. The S&P was one that we had been monitoring up around the 4,200 level, and that finally broke out. It looked very similar to this pattern that I'm seeing on IWM. But the S&P finally broke above the 4,200 and went pretty quickly up to the 4,600 level. We backed off a bit from there, but when you get these types of ranges and they eventually break out one direction or another, you're generally going to get a stronger move. So here we want to be watching these previous highs. Right up here, you can see where my horizontal cursor is, and if we're thinking, well, we might be getting some pullback into maybe August, September, maybe even into a bit of October, but we're expecting some strong seasonality to kick in, then we want to be watching this range. I use what are called ABCD patterns, and so I'd be looking for a swing down, retracement up, another swing to the downside. This is the support level down here. That's also coinciding with this gap area back from November 2020. So this is the support level that we want to be keeping an eye on in IWM. A stock chart scooter is turned to the downside. So if the market's, when it's ready to run to the upside, we want to be keeping an eye on any type of relative strength index, the scooter, MACD. We want to see some momentum to the upside with it. So let's take a look at a couple of other ETF symbols. This is symbol IWN, N as in Nancy. You can see it up here in the left corner. And this is a value ETF within the Russell 2000. And it has a similar pattern of the big sideways range up and down. And again, where my horizontal cursor is, that's where we want to be watching for a potential upside breakout. And again, the lows of this pattern right down around that 126 level. So I'll be marking in horizontal trend lines to map out that range and then be monitoring. Right here we can see the scooter on the value. Again, it's not in a super bullish position. We want to see it rise with an upside breakout up above this 70 level here. And the RSI down here, the RSI index, we want to see that stay strong up in a bullish position as well. This ETF is symbol IWO, and this is the growth ETF. So we just looked at the value, and now we're looking at a growth ETF. And again, there's a similar pattern, except this has more of higher highs and higher lows to it. There has been above these highs right here, the 246, 245.5 level. You can see the market had a kind of a breakout and not a lot of steam to that. It just was, look at the small real body on the close, small real body, down, close, down. So I think we really need, I'm not considering this a real breakout at this time until you really see some momentum. And also the scooter is turned to the downside. That's not up in the bullish position. So if we look at where this breakout is and you look at the vertical line, you can see that the scooter was not moving into that real bullish zone. So you want to be watching for, signs that you've got that good momentum behind you. The RSI index actually, not too bad, but the high of the 63 is not extremely bullish either. So this is still in a range. And of course, we're still a little bit away from that seasonality window. We want to be looking for a good bull rally. Here's an example of a good bull rally. This is a small cap, OVV. It's in the energy and exploration and production sector industries, and you can see where the range, sideways range was, and you can see where this breakout was about 40.5. Now this stock is already showing strength, and look at the scooter to the upside, and the RSI index is also very bullish to the upside. So this one might be watching this for a pullback into that seasonal window. So if you go in and you do some research on some small cap stocks and you find some with strength, then you might want to just be making a list with those to be keeping an eye on. And then you might also be seeing some that are still in their sideways range patterns and also be putting those onto a watch list. Here's an example. The symbol is CTRN. This stock is in consumer discretionary sector, apparel retailers, and it looks like there's a good breakout here. The RSI looks good. The scooter is not up into that really bullish area. It's got to get above that 70 level. However, the one thing I noticed with this stock is the volume, so I wanted to point that out. You'll find in these small cap stocks, a lot of times you're going to see lower volume. So you might want to put into your criteria whatever you use for a volume filter. But this is pretty low volume. So you might want to look at things that have a little bit more volume to them. Here's an example of a stock, KTOS, and this is an industrial defense sector. And you can see the volume is much better on here. And then look at this scooter up here. This is what I mean by being in a bullish position. And so this has been in a bullish position, and you've got good volume on it. The RSI is strong right now. So there's still time, of course, for that seasonal window, and so there might be sector rotation between now and then. In fact, there's likely to be. So you'll have to kind of go in and search for Russell stocks, and again be making some watch lists and tracking some of the symbols that look good to you. So let's take a look before we go. I just want to take a look at a little bit longer term chart on this. So you can see back in December 2022, this stock looks like it started a new uptrend. So we want to be watching this one possibly for pullbacks. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. I hope I showed you some good examples of things to be looking for on your charts and given you some tips on how to assess stocks. You can get much deeper into that. So we'll follow the seasonality of the Russell as we get a little bit further into the year. So thanks for joining me today, and as always, I'll try and answer any questions or comments that I see in the lower section. If you like the videos, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe, and visit me on my website, Trading Live Online, and I'll see you on the next Your Daily 5.